Well, here we are again at the Art Settlers of New York. Welcome to our program. My name is Rafaela, Ronnie, Billini, and we are going to be speaking to our special invited artist for our program tonight, Carlos Iván Molina, a native of Colombia and now a native New Yorker, resident of Manhattan. We are going to be highlighting some of his works that are going to be exhibited at the opening of his first New York exhibition at Taller Boricua, located at 1680 Lexington Avenue. And the opening is scheduled for September 20th, 2018 at 6 p.m. Carlos Iván has come to New York, studied in New York, and is now a legitimate New York, native New Yorker. And he has been successful as a graphic artist. And we're going to be talking about his process and his family life in Colombia and his transition to come to New York, where he studied at FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology. And he's also going to be speaking about his artwork that's entitled ICONtastic. ICONtastic. And particularly the icons in his life that have inspired him to do art since he was a child in Colombia and now in New York. Carlos Iván, welcome to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network studio, and in particular the Art Settlers of New York. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Rafaela, for the opportunity. It's awesome to be here, to have a chance to speak to you and to your audience about my art.
Yes, and it just so happens that Carlos Iván works behind the camera. He's the art director of CBS Sports Network in New York City. So, tell me when you realized that you were an artist. Besides a soccer player, maybe.
Yeah, no, not much soccer for me. The hand-eye coordination thing is not my forte.
Okay.
I prefer to be sitting down and drawing. So yeah.
But I'm sure you were very much involved rooting for Colombia.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I had no boys for a couple of days. Yes. Very, very cool. So yes, I am working right now as a motion designer. I am the art director at the CBS Sports Network. I do a lot of broadcast design and motion graphics for the network, which means a lot of animations for the promotions or for the image spots for the network. That I have to run the team that executes all this work. It's a 6-person team, and I spearhead that effort to do this work. I really like it. You asked me when did I realize that I was going to be an artist, and it's a little bit of a disgusting story, but it's entertaining. I remember when I was a kid, I was drawing in my parents' dining room. And you know, kids, they tend to be around a lot of other kids, and I remember there was like this lice outbreak.
Oh no.
Yes. And one of my first memories, I swear to you, is of me, like I was sitting in the dining room and I was drawing, and because they had put this shampoo on me for this
you had long hair.
Yes, I had. Back then I had a lot of hair. So they had put this shampoo on me that killed the lice. So I remember drawing, and I remember a little insect coming from my head and then on the paper.
Oh,
that was kind of when I remember being an artist. When I got together with friends or cousins, we used to do a lot of drawing, and like in school, all through school or through high schools, You know, the notebook, the written part is from the front, the drawn part is from the back. You know, the back part was thicker than the front part in most notebooks. Like art has been the love of my life.
Okay. Now, and then in this particular exhibit, ICONtastic, you are honoring some of the icons, and we have some images right behind us, such as Madonna right here. So obviously you like her music and her as a person?
Yes, actually, yeah. I mean, as a teenager, there was nobody sexier than Madonna. I mean, it was like the sex symbol of our era.
Right.
And
to this day, you still find her sexy?
Totally, yes. I think
and your wife accepts it?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's a very, 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 very good, elegant girl. And she has been also like one of my interests also has been fashion.
Right.
So
why don't you tell us about your experience and coming from Colombia to New York to study at FIT?
Okay. I went to fashion school. It was not my what I should have gone to school to. In retrospect.
Why do you say that?
Because I think that fashion design, it's a road or a decision in life that a business person should make. You know, I think that to be a successful fashion designer, you have to be a successful salesman, you have to be a successful marketer, and I am none of those.
Okay.
Basically, when I would chose to go to fashion school, I was maybe 16 or 17, and I figure, hey, you know, I want to do something artistic that's gonna make me look cool, and I want to be close to all the models, and you know, it was like a very fast decision.
Yeah, they undress him. They would undress
exactly,
him.
like,
or you would have to dress them up.
Something like that.
On them and all that.
It didn't work out that way, but through the years, I worked on fashion design for a while. I went back to Colombia, and I taught fashion design classes at the university level for a while. But again, it was not my passion. All through that time that I was in fashion design, I was focusing much more in fashion illustration, which I think is beautiful. And so I started to love doing that and basically kind of working with that. But again, fashion was not my passion, so I taught myself.
So you didn't think you would become another male Carolina Herrera?
No.
Or Oscar de la Renta?
No, it wasn't happening
Gianni,
that way. No, like again, you need to be able to sell. You need to be able to ask for your money.
Right.
You need to
collect the money.
Collect the money, and artists are not the best at doing that. So it was a nightmare.
So and then with the use of computers, then you were able to then expand.
Yes, exactly. So from drawing, a cousin of mine taught me how to animate. My uncle was a big cell animator in Colombia, so I also learned how to do cell animation, and that's how I kind of started in television networks in Colombia.
Talk to us about your experience with Caracol.
When I went back to Colombia,
after you graduated.
Yeah, before the networks, I started in advertising. For about 4 years, I was doing graphic design for ad agencies. And then I started with motion graphics. I went to a newscast production agency. Then I came back to the States, where a company in Tampa wanted to hire me, but Tampa was a little bit too boring for a person my age at the time. Right now I would be
Tampa's
fine
not
there.
New York. Now you would.
Yeah. But back then I was very bored. So
New
I went
York
back
is New York.
New York is New York. So I went back to Bogota and started working for Caracol Televisión, which is the largest network in Colombia. I was also same thing that I'm doing here. I was running the graphics department, doing animations for the network, And then in 2001, we decided to come into the U.S. Then we arrived in 2002.
With your wife?
With my wife, yes.
Who you met at Caracol?
Yeah, I met her at Caracol, and then she came with me to the States.
Was she happy coming to New York, or she?
She was in the beginning not so much, but I was very much into it. I was like desperate. We started in Miami. We had this nice apartment in the beach and all that. I was working in one big network in Miami, but I was not very happy at the level of the work, at the quality of the work. I always wanted to work in a design studio, work in New York, be close to all the design work that this city has to offer, be close to all the other designers that the city has to offer that are amazing. Like the design market in this city is incredible. So I really wanted to be part of that. So I was like, I want to go to New York. I want to go to New York. I want to go to New York. Again, we were living in the beach, having nice life, friends, all that. And one October 30, something like that, I get an email from a studio here. Hey, you know, all I can offer you is a couple of weeks of freelancing. If you want, come. If you cannot take it, then don't take it. But that's all I can offer you, 2 weeks. So I came into this wonderful studio, design studio, with a art director that I respect pretty much.
And who's that, if you can?
Yeah, it's Soa Martinez. The studio was called Sona Design. I learned a lot from her. I really wanted to be there. So we came with my wife, and then those 15 days turned into like 3 years that I spent there. And from there, I got hired by another network, and then I got hired by CBS.
Now, so how does it feel? You know, you're an artist, and artists can be temperamental sometimes and very exigente, meticulous.
Yes.
How is it you being behind the working with other artists who may be demanding, and how has that been? It's because you understand each other, or?
Kind of. We are all, you know, at this in this level, like in this market in New York. If you make it as a graphic designer, and if you're working in a reputable studio or a reputable network or ad agency,
like CBS,
is because is because you're a perfectionist. You know, you have a passion for your job, you show up, you do what you are required to do, and you go a little bit the extra mile to get the nice creative going. So that's not something that I have to deal with. The more that I have to deal with is kind of maybe the opposite. Maybe people come with too much energy and they want to do all these things, but you know, the network has to be a certain way, and what they're expecting from us is, you know, has to look a certain way. Not to say that I don't like to push the envelope and to do modern things, and
that's reflected in your art.
Thank you. and don't mind if I say so, but like in CBS Sports Network where I work, there's like these awards, like the Oscars for motion graphics.
Okay.
And every year we come back with like at least 2 or 3 of those very coveted awards in our industry. So that's a very good, you know, source of pride.
Yes. Congratulations.
To say thank you.
Y para Colombia también.
Gracias. So yeah, you know, I'm just very thrilled to be working on something that I love.
You've been blessed.
Yes.
The universe has worked itself, brought you back to New York, and this is why you're an art settler.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
so let's talk about the icons. You know, the icons.
Yes.
This is only a selection. David Bowie and Mick Jagger. How did they influence you?
Well, you know,
David Bowie. I mean, may he rest in peace.
ICONtastic is the name of the theme of the exhibit. So these are the icons that really moved me when I was a teenager. You know, when you're a teenager, music is like everything. Like right now, I love music, but when I was a teenager, I don't know, maybe I heard better. you know. But music was like I put the Walkman and then the tape and the batteries and all that, and then but the music felt more wonderful than it does now. I don't know why.
It felt more wonderful then.
Yes, like, no, let me rephrase that. It was more influential to me to see these icons or like these stars, because you're like barely forming yourself. So you're like receiving all this input from all these people. So these people were like gods, almost. Like now if I see a music star, I see the music star as a human being, you know, cool, blah, 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 but it's not somebody like, oh my God, if I see Mick Jagger, you know.
Who's pushing 80, right?
Who's pushing 80. I mean, I would die, but if I would see him as a teenager, I would die twice.
Yes, yes.
Kind of a deal.
Yeah, and we already know the relationship you had with Madonna. So this gentleman here, now, this is a historic figure.
Yes, so Simon in Adidas.
In Adidas, he's a hip guy.
He's a hip guy.
The liberator.
So yeah, it's all about a little bit of a mention of the marketing of what goes on today, and I'm just doing.
Has
it
Adidas
myself.
ever seen that?
I don't think so.
They should buy the painting.
I agree. Would be very cool in their lobby.
Yeah. Now, this is an interesting, how did you do that, the portrait of Madonna?
So, like the David brothers, which are the two David Bowies,
right?
The Mick brothers, which are the two Mick Jaggers, and the Madonna series are done. First of all, I go in the computer, and in Adobe Illustrator, I do a vector portrait based on a photograph. Okay. I have that printed in a large piece of paper, which is something like 35 wide by 60 tall. It's a large size. And then I customize each one of those prints by painting on top.
Okay.
So that's why those are the difference that you see. Like the figure is the same, but the colors and the innuendos of the paint are a little bit different.
And you have large printers in your home studio, or how?
No, I wish no. I use online service.
Okay. So these paintings will be exhibited at Taller Boricua.
They will, yes. I'm very excited.
And then
about
and then what others? You have one that we don't have an image for of Audrey Hepburn. What?
Audrey Naut.
Audrey Naut. Okay.
It's Audrey Hepburn as an astronaut.
Okay, and we would be able to recognize that it's Audrey.
Yes, yes,
her face.
Yes.
She's wearing pearls, or no?
She's wearing pearl earrings, I think.
Pearl earrings. And what other icons are included?
There's also portraits of people that are not famous. But as you can tell, I love doing portraits. So there's also some of that. I also have Freddie Mercury in the menu, and that's I know there's more, but they're escaping my memory right now. Yes.
Yeah, you had we want to thank you for coming here and being able to do this before the show actually opens. And so tell me what happened with your parents in Colombia. Were they very supportive? Because they always think, how are you going to make money? How are you going to support yourself?
No, actually my parents were very supportive.
They were?
Actually, yeah. Okay. They let me go to fashion school.
Right.
so yeah, they're very supportive of whatever we wanted to do.
But you designed what type of fashion, or what type of garments, really? Did you start off with?
You know hamacas?
Hamacas. Yes.
The swing.
The hammocks.
The hammock.
Okay.
So I used to purchase hammocks and have them cut into jeans, like pants.
Oh, okay.
Those were awesome. But
really?
this was like in 1990.
But then they were sold in Colombia.
They were sold in Colombia, yeah.
Interesting. So it's the material.
The material and like the stripes, yellow, red, like very like almost a little bit like African jeans. They were very ethnic. And those became very
that
popular.
was mostly for men or women, or
for both.
For both.
For
okay.
both,
And what
yeah.
else did you design that was?
A lot of pants, a lot of worked fabrics. Like I would take white shirts and then dye them by hand, paint by hand, or patchwork. A lot of like weird colors and vibrant colors. I was like in love with this look for this band called Arrested Development. It was like a rap band from the early 90s, and they were very colorful in their attire. So that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you did that just for a little bit until then you came to New York.
For like 2 years or 3 years when I got back to Colombia.
You preferred the illustration.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to a young artist who's starting out? You know, who's just graduating and looking at you and saying, you know, I'd like to have a mentor like that. You know, because you have been blessed, or you know, you have received favor from the universe to be able to land in a position and in a place that you have a passion for. You like getting up in the morning and knowing you're going to work at that special place.
Yeah. What I would say is, money is not all that important.
Okay.
You know, I used to think that I wouldn't used to need like all this stuff, you know, or expensive stuff to be happy. But now at this advanced stage, it's like I realized that
you're not a groovy senior yet, though.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. But you know, money is not as important as you think it is when you're young, I guess, or when I was young.
Right.
That's my lesson in life.
Right. So even with individuals like David Bowie, I mean, he was known as someone kind of on the wild side, as Mick Jagger and Madonna. Were you kind of on the wild side?
When I was a kid, yes.
Yes, you were.
Yes.
And how would you describe that wild side?
Like that.
Wild.
Yeah. That's it.
And going back to Caracol, is Caracol more, comparing it to your employer now here in New York, CBS? Was Caracol, is it more of a conservative station? I mean, if you were to.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, they're corporations. They know what they want.
Right.
They're catering to their audience. And I would say the American audience is, you can be a little bit more daring design-wise, going for the American audience.
If we were to turn on to CBS, and how would we know, oh, that's Carlos Molina, that's a stamp of Carlos Molina?
I mean, you have to turn CBS Sports Network.
Okay.
And a lot of promos that we have on air. I don't do all the work, all the graphic work, but I art directed.
Right.
So, like right now, we are working on the football look. And this is not just CBS Sports Network, but this is also CBS. So when you are going to be watching the game, probably by September or something like that, you're going to see a promo that says, I don't know, Dallas Cowboys. No, that's, I mean to say college sports.
College sports, okay.
Yeah, I'm very bad at football. But
like Rutgers.
Rutgers versus Steelers. And then you see the logos flying in and a lot of splotches of paint. That's what I was working on.
That's the animation. Have you considered doing animation, perhaps the story of an artist growing up?
Yes, I think I mean, animation is beautiful in the sense that it looks very cool. But any little step, any little project, it just takes a very long time to execute. So yes, I do have wonderful ideas, but very little time to execute them. So maybe for like the opening of my demo reel, I can do like a 5-second sequence of emotion or something, but that will take me like a week work.
Like a 5-second would,
yes.
would take about a week.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
So yes, the answer is yes, but not to the extent of like telling the whole story, but just like little moments or like little snippets of time.
Well, no, because now, and certainly Disney has really opened up the world of animation. I mean, historically, and a lot of youth who are art students are definitely, and then now with the use of computers, that's facilitated that journey in the world of animation.
It has to a certain degree, but the brain talent has to be there.
Right. Yeah. Certainly. And what else? So what else after? I mean, you've had this success as a art director. And what else? So you want to continue doing your own work and to continue exhibiting.
Correct.
This is
correct. I really love doing my paintings. I have this exhibit coming up, which is very exciting. Yeah. And I mean, in a dream situation, I could dedicate myself 100% of the time to do this stuff. But, if the plan is to continue working as an art director in New York City, that's not too shabby.
And so you lived on the water in Miami, and you live on the water now as well.
Yes, correct.
All right, one of the privileged residents of Roosevelt Island.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Do you commute on the tram, or you take the subway now?
I mean, at least twice a week I take the tram to absorb the view.
It's an amazing view.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So you have you're gonna have this exhibit, and hopefully it may even travel. Is that a possibility that it will travel?
I would love if it does. Yes.
Yes.
I would love if
because that's something that would, and particularly, for the diverse Colombian communities. Not even say Miami, that there's a large Colombian community, and
we are invading everything.
But I think that the world needs to see your art, and we hope that the world will see this program. By the way, okay, because Manhattan Neighborhood Network is streamed live around the world, and then when it is actually shown, people in Manhattan will see it, and all around the world.
Wonderful.
On MNN.org. And again, we just want to remind our studio audience that ICONtastic opens September 20th, 6 p.m. at Taller Boricua, located at 1680 Lexington Avenue, between 105th and 106th Streets here in East Harlem. Carlos Iván, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having
me. Que viva Bolívar.
Bravo.
Que viva David Bowie, Mick Jagger, and our wonderful, marvelous Madonna. There's only one like her.
Yes.
Thank you, Carlos.
Okay. Rafaela, thank
and
you.
Our, best wishes for you and your family and your art.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Same for you.
Thank you.